A man is still recovering from surgery after getting shot over the weekend on the city's east side. Police, meanwhile, are still looking for a suspect.
Bridge repairs to reconnect Black Earth with the rest of Dane County start today.
This is News 3 This Morning.
Good morning and welcome to News 3 This Morning. It's Monday, September 17th.
Yeah, before we get to the forecast with Hattie here for southern Wisconsin, we do want to update you on what's now Tropical Depression Florence, which is still dumping life-threatening amounts of rain this morning on the Carolinas. 18 people have died so far in storm-related incidents, and emergency management officials say the worst is yet to come for some areas. Rivers there are still rising, and the officials there are calling for new evacuation orders. Hundreds of people have already been rescued by helicopter. More than 500,000 people are still without power, and it could be weeks before crews are able to get to the houses that need repairs. About 50 Red Cross volunteers from Wisconsin are along the East Coast helping out this morning.
Very different story here in Wisconsin, but we are about to see more rain later in the forecast, right, Hattie?
We do. After 10 days of dry weather, we have rain in our forecast as well, but a beautiful sunrise this morning. The WISC-TV sky cam showing you clear skies here on the west side of town. We have noted a little bit of fog. Earlier, visibility was down to 1/4 mile in Madison. It's back up to 2 miles at the airport, but visibility is near zero in Boscobel as well in Lone Rock. Here's a look at your temperatures over the next 12 hours. Remember the heat and humidity from yesterday? Well, it's still around today. 87 for the high. By comparison, yesterday's high was 86, so nearly the same. It will feel humid this afternoon with heat index values near 90. Taking a look at our first alert traffic maps this morning, just starting to see some brake lights showing up on the Beltline near Stoughton Road, but no accidents or major delays to report just yet. You're still going at posted speeds as you head into Madison. And that's your first alert traffic.
All right. Appreciate it. Thank you, Hattie.
You're welcome.
6:02 your time now. A man is in the hospital this morning after a shooting on the east side over the weekend. Officers say it happened on Cottage Grove Road near Walgreens around 3:30 Saturday morning. The 29-year-old victim is in the hospital with serious injuries, but District 3 Alder Amanda Hall says he is expected to be okay after having surgery. Hall said it was a targeted incident, but police say they don't have anyone in custody yet. Anyone with information, anyone who might have seen something there, is asked to call police or the Madison Area Crime Stoppers.
The State Division of Criminal Investigation will be in Manitowoc this morning after a fatal officer-involved shooting over the weekend. Police there say first responders were called out around 4:45 yesterday morning to respond to a fire alarm. While on the scene, an officer was confronted by a man who allegedly was armed with what police are calling a blunt instrument. That officer fired his gun, killing the suspect. That officer is on paid administrative leave while the state looks into this incident. Wisconsin law does require that an outside agency investigate any officer-involved shooting. Police say this incident is not related to a double homicide that happened in Manitowoc last week.
A man is in the Dane County Jail this morning facing his 6th OWI charge after police say he was threatening to kill someone. It happened in the town of Montrose yesterday afternoon around 4:30. Officers say 58-year-old Gerald Erpelding was making those threats before he drove off on an ATV, then later in a pickup. Deputies were able to pull him over. They arrested him on 3 counts of disorderly conduct, his 6th OWI offense, and an active felony warrant. Madison's police chief says there were fewer car thefts last month compared to August of 2017, but most, if not all of them, were preventable.
Yeah, 37 of the 41 cars that were stolen last month had the keys left in them. It's just one of the things that can get you a failing grade on MPD's new report cards. Now, Josh Sprider is live at the department's West District, that is, with more on the program and whether police actually think it's working. Good morning, Josh.
Good morning. You may find this pink slip on your windshield this morning. No, it is not a ticket. It is a report card from Madison Police. We've got Captain Corey Nelson with us. And what is kind of the meaning behind these report cards?
Well, I think there's no secret we're having a huge surge in theft from auto theft, that kind of thing. So we're trying to educate the public on how to better secure their vehicles and their valuables by using this report card.
Why do you think we're seeing such an uptick and increase in these car thefts right now?
Well, one of the reasons, to be honest with you, is people aren't being really overly cautious about how they are locking their vehicles or leaving valuables in their cars. I was out the other night putting these report cards in cars. I found purses in cars, wallets in cars, gun magazines in cars. So we need to be a little more preventative as far as how we're allowing ourselves to be crime victims or not. If we can harden ourselves, harden our vehicles against theft, that would help us in a great deal to reduce crime in Madison.
So you guys have been doing these report cards for a few years. What's been the response recently?
We've had good response from the public. Public's appreciative of the fact that we are actually spending some time going out at night and letting them know in cases where sometimes they just forget to leave their purse in their car. It wasn't intentional, but for the most part, people are very appreciative.
What do you kind of recommend people doing? I know it's one of those things that's very easy just to lock your door, but sometimes you forget. Sometimes people just don't want to do it.
Well, people aren't going to waste time in your car if they don't see anything of value. So please take your purses, your garage door openers, your wallets, that kind of thing, and store them in the house, not in the car.
So it's an educational thing, no ticket.
Absolutely no ticket. I know it's probably worrisome seeing something pink on your windshield in the morning, but no, just educational.
All right, well, Captain Corey Nelson, thank you so much for joining us this morning. A good little tip for people.
Thank you.
All right, thanks so much. We'll send it back to you.
All right, a little bit of common sense will get you a passing grade.
Hopefully.
Our Josh Brighter reporting live for us this morning. Thanks, Josh.
6:06 right now. Reconstruction on bridges seriously damaged by flooding will officially start later today here in Dane County. Last week, Governor Walker approved $2.8 million in emergency funding to help rebuild bridges over the Black Earth Creek in western Dane County. Those bridges are right along Highway 14. The DOT looked at installing a temporary bridge there, but determined it would delay work on a permanent replacement. Construction is set to be finished by mid-November. All right, reporters will see if they can get some kind of answer or opinion out of Packers head coach Mike McCarthy this afternoon after a controversial call that reversed a game-winning interception for Green Bay. It made that historic 29-29 tie sting a bit more yesterday against the Vikings.
A bit tougher to watch, too. We're talking about the fourth quarter penalty against star linebacker Clay Matthews. Packers were up 29-22 in that fourth quarter when Vikings quarterback Kirk Cousins threw an interception, presumably securing a win for the Pack. But Matthews was called for roughing the passer, so that play didn't count. Matthews said in postgame he thought it was a clean hit. Despite the disappointing tie, the Packers are staying positive.
A little bit of relief, because, I mean, we may have tied, but we could have lost, and we didn't. The Lambeau guys was with us, in their field goal kicker.
All right, so I asked on Twitter today on a poll if this was warranted. 82% said no. The tie overshadowed the great performances from both quarterbacks. Aaron Rodgers played with a brace on his injured left knee and threw for 281 yards and a score.
All right, if that was not enough, the Badgers are out of the top 10 in the latest AP poll after a tough loss to BYU on Saturday. Wisconsin's now ranked 18th in the country. By the way, that's the team's lowest ranking since the start of the 2016 season. BYU, on the other hand, debuted on the poll for the season at number 25 after beating the Badgers 24-21 Saturday at Camp Randall. Badgers play their first Big Ten conference game this Saturday against the Hawkeyes in Iowa City.
Rough weekend for Wisconsin sports.
Yeah, bummer.
All right, 6:08 your time now. You might be able to help your school become healthier with a $25,000 check that's up for grabs from a local hospital. We're talking with the folks over at Meritor about their Imagine the Amazing contest and how you can get in the running.
The chance for storm city showers is popping and back up again starting tomorrow, but Hattie is going to let us know when and where to expect the rain to return when News 3 this morning continues. Nice sunrise.
Good morning from the Hattie-O Patio this morning, where we're still talking dry weather right now, but all eyes were on the Carolinas over the weekend with Hurricane Florence. It has been downgraded to a depression, but here are some of the rain totals. And again, still adding up the rain in many spots, but Swansboro looks to have received the highest amount of rain, nearly 34 inches over the course of just a few days. And you can see many other towns not far behind. Elizabethtown over 29 inches, Hoffman Forest almost 28 inches of rain, and Oak Island nearly 27 inches of rain. That is more than a season's worth of rain in less than a week. Now, Tropical Storm Florence is now Tropical Depression Florence. It has wind speeds around 30 miles an hour, but it is tracking north. You can see the rain on the map this morning, the showers and even some thunderstorms still lingering in parts of North Carolina, but that rain is going to finally be moving out of the area. For us, things are very quiet around here. No rain right now. We had a very hot weekend. Here's a look at high temperatures yesterday. 86 here in Madison, but that was only part of the story. The humidity was the other part of the story, and it felt pretty warm and humid. 88 in La Crosse, even 90 for a high in Minneapolis. Now, our temperature trend over the next 10 days is going to trend a little bit closer to normal after today. We are going to be over 15 degrees above normal today with highs at 87 degrees. The record high for today, 90, set in 1955. Here's a live look from the Edgewater Sky Cam. Finally able to see some light in the sky right now. Visibility is near zero in spots through the Wisconsin River Valley, but fog is not widespread across the region. Temperatures are in the 60s. It's a pretty mild start to the day. Feels a bit sticky out. You can bet that it's going to be a humid day once again. Dew points are in the low to mid 60s right now, and they're expected to climb a little bit through the afternoon. Heat index values up close to 90 later on today. So certainly not feeling like mid-September. Future track will show you that things are going to stay pretty quiet for us this morning. Lots of sunshine expected. Temperatures getting back into the low 80s by lunchtime. 87 will be our high here in Madison later today. As a cold front works its way into the area, there will be a chance for rain, although that front will be weakening as it pushes through the area overnight tonight. Here's a look at your extended forecast then. Temperatures go a little bit closer to normal as we go through the week. Chances for rain continue as well Wednesday and even into Thursday. Looks like it should quiet down, though, as we head into the upcoming weekend. Never too early to look ahead to the next weekend. Now let's get a look at your first alert traffic with Jason Ryan this morning. Good morning, Jason.
Good morning. It's pretty quiet around town for this early Monday. The Beltline is delay-free in both directions on your commute through town for the early hours of the commute. The interstate and highways around Madison are also clear of any issues that might slow you down, but as always, please be careful through construction zones. Downtown, all clear of problems, but there is a small backup gathering around East Wash at Blair, so be on the lookout for that in that area. And overall, your drive times are right around normal for the Monday morning commute. No real issues anywhere that'll hold you up to where you're going. With First Alert Traffic, I'm Jason Ryan.
Thank you, Jason, and thank you, Hattie. All right, 6:15 right now, and we wanted to catch teachers before they headed into work this morning to let them know about a $25,000 available to area schools here.
Yeah, that money could go toward anything from mental health training to new playground equipment, maybe even a garden. Voting opens today for Unity Point Health Meriters. Imagine the amazing contest. Leah Hubricks is joining us this morning to share more about the program. Thanks so much for waking up early with us.
Good morning, guys. Thanks for having me.
So this is your first year doing this contest.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about it.
So we are so excited about this. So as you said, we're giving away $25,000 to one school so they can do something to improve the health and wellness of their kids, of their staff, of their community.
Why?
Yeah, great question.
Yeah, I think that's, I know a lot of teachers may be able to answer that pretty well.
Yeah, so we're a community hospital. All the hospitals throughout Unity Point Health are community hospitals. So that really means that we need to do things to give back to the community, support our communities. And the heart of our communities, they're really our schools, they're our kids. So if we can help them be healthier, improve their well-being, we're really fulfilling that mission.
Now, when you think health, you spend a lot of time thinking about exercise and eating, but this is bigger than that. People can use this money for way beyond that. Tell us about that.
So we thought $25,000 was enough to make a significant difference, not just a one-time thing. Maybe start a new program, maybe do something that they never thought they could do before, really kind of imagine the amazing. And we really want them to think outside of the box. So if they want to do playground equipment, if they want to do a garden, something in that traditional health section, we're totally supportive of that. If they really want to think outside of the box, really address some of those socioeconomic factors their students are facing, really address things happening in their neighborhood, whatever they think is really going to help the health and well-being there, we're going to be supportive of that, and we're going to help them make that a reality.
Have you heard any ideas kind of filter through yet from the
Not
school
yet.
district?
No, I think people are kind of holding their ideas, trying to figure out what they want to do, but we're really excited to see what people come up with.
Now, do you foresee then, school districts maybe pitching these ideas beforehand to try to get some voter excitement? Or, I mean, I know this is brand spanking new, so what do you guys kind of expect?
Yeah, we are kind of waiting to see what happens.
Yeah.
So we sent out information to all the schools ahead of time so they could kind of start thinking, gave them a lot of tools to share with their staff, with their families and students and parents to kind of brainstorm. But I will say, to vote, you don't have to have that idea yet. Right now it's just about getting the support, getting the votes, and then once your school wins, and we really hope it's a local Wisconsin school that wins, then we'll get into what you want to use it for.
So there's no barrier to doing this. It's really simple. Any school size can get involved.
Any school. It's by school, not by district.
Yeah.
So those little schools out there saying, oh, we're not as big as a Madison district, that doesn't matter. You can vote as many times as you want. So small schools just need to be really dedicated, get in there and vote, vote, vote. There's no limit on voting.
Good stuff. Let's let people know where and when a little bit here. So it's called, again, Imagine the Amazing, $25,000 up for grabs for a school here. Voting starts today and goes through it goes through the end of the month here. So
September 30th.
October 1st will be the cutoff. Winners are going to be announced the week of October 8th. So that's super exciting too. And there are some runner-up prizes too in case your school doesn't make it in the first place.
$1,000 for the next 10 runners-up.
That's awesome. Awesome. This is
Such a
very
neat program.
Yeah, this is
We're
very
so
exciting.
excited.
I'm really excited. We'll have to have you back on to
Yes.
explain what some of these projects are.
And the winning school, because
And
they're
the
going to be
winning-
from
Yeah,
here.
absolutely.
Yes.
Leah's very
We're
determined.
determined.
All
Awesome.
right. Thanks so much for joining us.
Guys.
Yeah, of course. Your time right now is 6:16 or 6:18, I should say. Meteorologist Chris Reese has gotten some emails from people who are trying to prepare for the winter. They are wondering what if this rain, or excuse me, what will happen when this heavy rain maybe turns to snow? Like it did, we had all that precipitation. What if, that's what people are wondering. Chris is looking at that coming up after the break.
Hard to wrap your mind around that. No snow in the forecast yet, though. Thank you, Hattie and Chris. But the rain does make a return this week. We've got that coming up.
Good morning. I'm meteorologist Hattie McLean. Our skies are clear this morning. We have a beautiful sunrise underway. Here's the view from the Queen Bee Radio Skycam in Platteville this morning. Just a little bit of fog across the area through the river valley, but that's about it early today. Satellite and radar are pretty quiet this morning. In Platteville, it's 63 degrees, 64 in Janesville, and 62 here in Madison. Monroe continues to be the warm spot at 71 degrees. It is going to be a very warm and muggy day today. Sticky in the classroom if you don't have AC. High temperatures will be well into the 80s with partly sunny skies. Cooler temperatures then arrive tomorrow. Have a wonderful day.
All right, thanks, Hattie. 6:23 your time now. Dane County broke the state record for heaviest rainfall amount in 24 hours when all that flooding began last month.
Yeah, some areas saw 13 inches of rain. So the question becomes, what if that happens again when it's below freezing? Meteorologist Chris Reese is here to talk about how that rain would be in snow form.
Oh, yeah.
Yikes.
That's the email.
That's all I've got. Yikes.
If I could take if I had $1 for every single one of those emails, like, I would be a much wealthier man. But let's go ahead and answer that question. A lot of you want to know, what if that rain had been snow? Well, let's go ahead and talk about this. It takes a little bit of math, and I know it's early, but we're going to get through this together.
Help us out, Chris. Help us out.
Yes, we're going to get through it. So first off, we have to recognize we did have an area-wide average of 12 inches of rain. Now, typically at about 30 degrees, you say 1 inch of water equals about 10 inches of snow. So at this point, all right, multiply by 10, 120 inches of snow. Not really. Here's the deal. Here's the deal. The air at 70 degrees is about 4.5 times more in terms of moisture content than the air at 30 degrees. And that's one of the things to really think about. The rainfall with temperatures in the 70s, it's usually near 30 when it snows here in south central Wisconsin. So let's take that area-wide average of 12 and divide that by 4.5 so that we have an adequate amount of moisture. When you do that division, you end up with 2.7 inches of liquid rain that could have fallen during that same kind of process if temperatures were below freezing. Take that 2.7, multiply that by 10, and you would end up with 27 inches of snow. So if that were to happen in the winter, it still would have been one of the heaviest snowfalls that we have seen in south central Wisconsin.
No
That's
kidding.
half of the annual snowfall. Usually we get about 50 inches of snow here. That's a little over halfway there. So that would have been insane. That shows you the true amount of moisture that we had, as if the flooding didn't already. And then the next question I get, this is the second most emailed question, is this a sign of the winter to come? A lot of folks have really asked that one. The short answer, no. It's not. I've done a lot of research. There's no real relationship between that. I do know after the flooding in 2008, that following winter, there was 70 inches of snow. The thing is, the atmospheric setup for that winter compared to the atmospheric setup we'll have for this winter, totally different. In fact, they're polar opposites, if you really want to think about it. This year we'll have an El Nino. That year they went back into a La Nina, so that's what we're going to be watching very closely.
Well, and it's just so tough every time we get those questions, and everybody does want to know, rightfully so, like, oh, it's been such a summer, will it be such a, that kind of winter? But it's so hard, even with the El Nino moving in, to even know exactly what's going to happen.
Exactly, and typically with El Nino, that means a little bit of a drier and a milder summer here in Wisconsin. But that's relative. So for me, for example, it could be a drier, milder winter, and I would think it was the harshest thing I've ever been through. So it's all relative. Even if we get our average amount of snow, we would think that it was a snowy winter.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Chris.
No
really
problem.
interesting.
All right, 6:26 your time now. Speaking of snow, we've had a good start for our Coats for Kids campaign, but we still have a long way to go to make sure everyone in our area who needs a warm winter coat gets one. If you've outgrown a coat, we'll hope that you are going to consider donating it. We're up to 712 coats so far. You can also donate gently used winter hats, mittens, or snow pants. Just drop them off at any Clinky Cleaners or Lucier Family YMCA here in Dane County. All right, you might be getting a high school flashback this morning if you walk out to your car and find a report card on your windshield. Josh Breiter is going to explain the grade Madison police are giving us coming up after the break.
It is not a ticket, all right? So and if I had my pick, it would be down to probably the Kringle, Wisconsin wine, a white cheddar, and something called a whirly board. Yeah, yes. We are going to hear from voters on the coolest things made in Wisconsin later today. The top 16 finalists will be announced this morning. The news is back in the morning on News 3 this morning.
Milwaukee's Archbishop has something to say about sexual assault cases within the Catholic Church. We'll hear his sermon of apology coming up.
Right now, Madison police are responding to an uptick in car break-ins across the city. I'm Josh Bretter live this morning with why you may find this piece of paper on your windshield.
This is News 3 This Morning.
Good morning and welcome to the final half hour of News 3 this morning. It's 6:30 now on this Monday, September 17th, but it doesn't feel like it. It is going to be hot and muggy out today.
Yeah, definitely sticky out there. 15 degrees above normal, or even more so today. Let's turn it over to Hattie with a look at this weather. Good morning, Hads.
Good morning. You're right. It certainly does not feel like mid-September outside. It feels more like July or early August. Temperatures are in the 60s this morning. We've had a little on and off fog here at the airport in Madison. Visibility's back down to about 1.25 miles. Also some fog through the Wisconsin River Valley. It's not a widespread issue this morning. Take a look at those temperatures. If you have the AC on in your house, well, this is what it feels like outside. We're in the 60s and even low 70s in a few spots this morning. It is going to be another very warm and humid day. Yesterday's high was 86. Today will top at 87 degrees. Just one more very warm and humid day, though, before we start to cool down starting tomorrow. Let's get an update on your First Alert traffic maps this morning. Things are still looking pretty quiet on the roads here in Madison and in the surrounding areas. I looked around the region, no accidents to report right now, which is great news. So all those speeds and times, well, are still green. So traveling at normal speeds and times this morning. That's your First Alert traffic.
All right, Hattie, thank you so much. 6:32 right now, and a growing number of leaders in the Catholic Church here in Wisconsin are asking their congregations for prayer and forgiveness. This weekend, the Archdiocese of Milwaukee is the latest to offer an apology to anyone who may have been abused by a member of the Catholic Church. He held a vigil over the weekend there. This comes after a Pennsylvania grand jury found more than 300 priests sexually abused hundreds of children over the course of decades. The Archdiocese of Madison, you may remember, held special masses last week for reparation and is encouraging members, that is, to fast later this week.
6:32 your time now. Madison police are working overnight to give you a grade on how well you're protecting yourself from car thefts.
Yeah, it looks like those reviews are working to some degree, but there are still plenty of us failing to keep the keys and valuables out of plain sight. Josh Breiter is live at the department's West District this morning to talk about the pink slips you might be finding on your windshield if you're not doing what you're supposed to. Josh, good morning.
Good morning, guys. Yeah, Madison police are calling it your report card. They're hoping to make you aware of the things you can do to reduce the chances of becoming a victim of theft. During the overnight hours, Madison police officers are checking cars in different neighborhoods around the city, placing these report cards on vehicles. If you leave valuables in plain view, if the door is unlocked or windows open, then the officer marks failed on your car.
I was out the other night putting these report cards in cars. I found purses in cars, wallets in cars, gun magazines in cars. So we need to be a little more preventative as far as how we're allowing ourselves to be crime victims or not.
Police say this is nothing other than educational, so you can help them reduce crime in our community. If you'd like to learn more about this, you can find all the information at channel3000.com. And ladies, it's a good little tip here, and I think it's a good thing we're letting people know because people probably think that they're going to have a ticket going out to their car this morning.
A little piece of paper on my car gives me serious anxiety.
Yeah, oh yeah.
So good to know. Thank you for the tips. Josh Reporter reporting live for us this morning. Thanks, Josh.
So on top of dozens of auto thefts every month, Madison police are still dealing with a 72% increase in robberies last month compared to August of 2017 and a record number of heroin overdoses lately. In response, the department is hoping to hire 6 more police officers in the next city budget. That's one of a number of proposals from fire and police that the Public Safety Review Committee is going to be considering at its meeting this evening. That group's also going to talk about the study of excessive alcohol use and how that alcohol might be connected to violence downtown.
A Dane County social worker will be at the state capitol this morning talking about how current bail policies impact people's lives. Lawmakers are reviewing whether they should change the laws that allow people accused of crimes to get out of jail while they go through a trial. Here in Dane County, from 2012 to 2016, 4 of 5 people charged with a felony, a misdemeanor, or some criminal traffic violation were granted a signature bond. Cash bail was ordered in 1 of 5 cases over that time. Madison's Homeless Issues Committee is going to meet later today to talk about how it can help kids who don't have a home here in Madison. Members are considering adding a representative from the school district to that committee. Alder Maurice Cheeks, who is also running for mayor, says he'd like to see more of a focus on schools to make sure the city is meeting the needs of homeless students. That committee is also going to get an update on the day shelter over on East Washington Avenue and talk about developing the old Messner building into affordable housing. All right, 6:35 your time now. We here in Wisconsin are proud of everything that comes out of our state, but we're one step closer to deciding what the coolest thing is.
Yeah, the first round of voting of the contest, the coolest thing made in Madison, or made in Wisconsin. I keep wanting to say Madison. Pretty cool things here, too. That wrapped up over the weekend. The top 16 producers move on to the next round. They're going to be announced this morning. You can check out that announcement on Facebook Live. That starts at 10 a.m. This is all thanks to Wisconsin Manufacturing and Commerce. Should be really interesting to see who those top 16, because it was a long list of items.
It was a huge list, and a lot of things we had never heard of,
right?
Nor did we know what they were.
Had to look them up.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
pretty cool.
Super interesting. 6:36 right now. So Madison planners do not want a fancy 9-story hotel to go up on the top of State Street. We'll tell you why in the morning sprint.
And calling all creative minds down in Janesville, that city needs help naming its new splash pad. We'll check it out when News 3 This Morning continues.
Taking a live look this morning on the west side of Madison from high atop the WISC-TV building here on the west side. The sun officially came up, or will officially come up here in about 10 seconds. That is a good coincidence there. It'll be hot and sunny all day long. We will check in on your forecast in a bit. I was trying to stall until the sunrise officially happened.
6:40.
There you go.
Great timing. All right, 6:40 is your time now. We always ask you to share your morning with us. Speaking of gorgeous sunrises, Kenton Fowler always finds us a beautiful one. Take a peek at this. This is over at Monona Bay. Back when the flooding was a little bit higher. It is down a little bit this week, but boy, what a golden picture.
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
Thanks
Absolutely beautiful.
so much for sharing, Kenton.
It almost has an air of fall to it, doesn't it?
It does,
yeah.
You're right.
Take a picture. If you've got one, post it over on our Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, whatever it is. Use the hashtag MyNews3Morning. Leah and I share our favorites every morning here on the program. Okay, the city of Janesville could soon be asking for your advice to name a new splash pad downtown. That feature was recently installed on the east bank of the Rock River between Court Street and Milwaukee Street bridges. It has timed out water sprays, it has lights, it has music, but according to the Janesville Gazette, the name could use some work. Right now it's just called Interactive Water Feature. Ew, blah. Well, city officials are thinking about opening up the naming process for public input.
All right, young girls across southern Wisconsin are meeting up on the mat to show who's boss this fall. This right here is wrestling practice happening over at Iowa Grant Schools. But these are wrestlers from across the state. They're coming together, some of them driving more than 2 hours after they say the Wisconsin Interscholastic Athletic Association decided against sanctioning a girls-only state wrestling championship. They want to keep working, though, to prove they're just as good as the boys, or maybe even better.
Girls can do it too, and it's not just boys that can do it. That girls are more powerful, stronger than the boys are. I've wrestled a lot of girls and a lot of boys, and I would say my toughest enemies are the girls.
Coming up tonight, you can hear from her only on News 3, along with the other girls who are inspiring the rest of us to keep working toward our goals. Their story is tonight at 10.
That is really, really cool. That is not an easy sport.
No, it's not. And these girls are kicking butt out there. It's really fun to hear from them. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks for going out there and talking to them. Yeah, it seems really cool. I'm ready to be inspired. 6:42 right now. There is more hot and humid weather in store for today. Storm chances return tomorrow. We will check in on Hattie's first alert forecast next.
But first, if you have a little kiddo turning 3 soon, we want to help celebrate. Let us know so we can show their picture on TV.
Good morning. We start this morning on a very warm and muggy note across southern Wisconsin, and that will continue through the day today. The remnants of Florence still off to our east. That storm is moving off to the north and east through the day today, and we'll exit the Carolinas, thankfully. But for us, we'll watch this cold front that is advancing across the plains. Behind that front, a little bit of shower and thunderstorm activity already this morning. As that front moves into our area tonight, we do have a chance for rain back in the forecast. Nothing showing up on the satellite and radar maps, though, around here this morning. Things stay pretty quiet early today. Here's a look at GFS future tracks starting later on this afternoon. Some scattered rain is possible, mainly to the north and west of Madison at 4, but that does sink southward through the evening. That front is rather weak, so it's not a guarantee for rain tonight into early tomorrow, but a chance in the forecast. Now, that front doesn't make it too far to the south. It actually lifts back northward as a warm front through the middle part of the week, so that keeps rain chances in the forecast on Wednesday and possibly even into Thursday before things quiet down and dry out again for the upcoming weekend. So we may have a pretty good chance for at least some rain across the entire state as we go through this week. Now, as far as rain totals are concerned, here's a look at one forecast model, and it does paint about 1 inch here in Madison. Lighter amounts to about 1/2 inch as you head towards Milwaukee. Definitely higher amounts for southern Minnesota and northern Iowa. And again, this is spread out over a 3-day period. Here's a look at our current conditions this morning. Relative humidity is 100%, and you can feel it outside. 62 for the temperature, 62 for the dew point as well, 62 in the Dells, 64 in Janesville. Monroe still 71 degrees. Dew points are going to climb into the mid-60s throughout the afternoon and hold steady there today. So that means heat index is a factor. It's going to feel a little bit warmer than it actually is today. By 2 this afternoon, feeling like mid to upper 80s, close to 90 in some spots through the peak heating hours in the afternoon before it cools down then this evening. Here's a look at your pinpoint city forecast highs. 87 in Stoughton today, 88 in Milton and Evansville, 89 in Beloit. To the west, 86 in Prairie du Chien, 87 in Muscoda, and to the north, 85 in Boston. Baraboo tops at 85 as well. Here in Madison, enjoy the sunshine today. It is going to be a warm one with a high of 87 degrees. Yesterday's high was 86, so very similar to yesterday. Rain chances are then in the forecast starting late tonight through Thursday, but it does look like we should dry out for the upcoming weekend. Here's our pet walk forecast. Lobo in Madison.
Buddy.
He doesn't look very happy.
Probably because he's sweating with all that fur and it's so hot this weekend.
Where is he and where can I steal him from?
Oh.
So cute.
Danica would love to walk Lobo.
Yes, I would. Lobo means wolf, by the way, in Spanish, so that's
pretty
really
impressive.
Good. Yeah.
All right.
Nice
Thanks,
stuff.
Hattie.
You're welcome.
Morning Sprint's coming up next right here on News 3 This Morning. 6:51 time now for the morning sprint. Heat index is going to be close to 90 today. Hattie is bringing that heat in her first alert forecast.
And Josh Spreiter's letting us know that pink slip on your windshield isn't a ticket. It's a warning about car thefts. But we start on Madison's east side, where police are still looking for the suspect in a shooting that seriously hurt someone over the weekend. Officers say it happened on Cottage Grove Road near the Walgreens there around 3:30 Saturday morning. The alder for that district says the 29-year-old victim is doing okay after he had surgery. She says it was a targeted incident, but police say they don't have anyone in custody yet.
A Manitowoc police officer is on paid administrative leave while the state investigates a fatal shooting over the weekend. Fire and police were responding to a fire alarm Sunday morning when an officer was confronted by a man allegedly armed with what police are calling a blunt instrument. That officer that was there fired his gun, killing that suspect.
I'm Josh Spreiter live at the Madison Police Department, where officers say they are responding to an uptick in car break-ins across the city. Police hope to help you become aware of things you can do to help reduce the chances of becoming a victim of theft. During the overnight hours, officers are checking cars in different neighborhoods around the city, placing these report cards on vehicles. If you leave valuables in plain view, if the door is unlocked or window is open, then the officer marks failed on your car. Hopefully yours is one that is marked passed. They say this is nothing other than educational, so you can help them reduce crime in our community.
And our forecast today is going to heat up pretty quickly across the area. Temperatures starting in the 60s this morning, climbing to a high of 87 degrees later on this afternoon. That's only part of the story. When you factor in the humidity, it's going to feel warmer. Heat index values in the mid to upper 80s, close to 90 degrees later on today. Stay cool today.
All right, thanks, Hattie. Flights in and out of Dane County are running on time this morning as Tropical Depression Florence continues to drop life-threatening rain in the Carolinas. At least 17 people have died in storm-related instances. Rivers are rising this morning, where officials say the worst is yet to come. Hundreds of thousands of people are without power, and entire cities are cut off by floodwaters. About 50 Red Cross volunteers from Wisconsin are currently in the Carolinas working to help those affected.
CBS This Morning will have much more on that and this story as well. Some senators say they cannot vote to confirm Brett Kavanaugh for the Supreme Court until they learn more about sexual assault allegations against him. A 51-year-old research psychologist from California is claiming Judge Kavanaugh assaulted her at a high school party back in the 80s. Kavanaugh, quote, categorically and unequivocally is denying these allegations. Republican Senator Jeff Flake, though, says he's not comfortable voting in favor of Kavanaugh's nomination until he learns more about the claims.
The Archdiocese of Milwaukee is asking for forgiveness on behalf of the Catholic Church for hundreds of sexual abuse accusations over the past 7 decades. Yesterday morning, the Archdiocese offered an apology to anyone who is abused by a member of the church. Milwaukee's Archdiocese is not the center of any recent accusations, but it held a vigil overnight, saying when one member suffers, they all suffer together.
The State Journal is reporting this morning that staff at Madison's planning division do not think a proposed 9-story boutique hotel at the top of State Street fits with the character of the block. Their report suggests shaving that project down to 6 stories, which is the maximum height under Madison's downtown development plan that's allowed. The developer, meanwhile, argues that the part of the hotel that actually faces State Street would be shorter than the building it would replace.
Wisconsin is on pace for losing the most dairy farms this year since 2013. The state's Department of Agriculture says Wisconsin lost 47 dairy farms in August alone and 429 since the start of the year. Folks with the Dairy Business Association say they're not surprised given the current market and long-term trend of larger farms buying out smaller ones. Tariffs have also led some farmers to leave the industry early this year.
Reporters will definitely have some questions for Packers head coach Mike McCarthy this afternoon when it comes to the call that sports media will be talking about all week long. That controversial call reversed a game-winning interception in the fourth quarter yesterday against the Vikings. Linebacker Clay Matthews was called for roughing the passer. There were rule changes in the offseason after the hit that Aaron Rodgers that broke Aaron Rodgers' collarbone last year. The game ended at a 29-29 tie for the first time in NFL history.
More bad news for Wisconsin sports fans. The Badgers are out of the top 10 in the latest AP poll after their loss to BYU on Saturday. Wisconsin is now ranked 18th. That's the team's lowest ranking since the start of the 2016 season. BYU, on the other hand, debuted on the poll this season at number 25 after beating the Badgers 24-21 at Camp Randall. The Badgers will play their first Big Ten Conference game this coming Saturday. That's against the Hawkeyes in Iowa City.
Okay, we're hoping for some better news from Jason Ryan. 6:56 right now. Let's turn it over to him for one more look at First Alert traffic. Good morning, Jason.
Good morning. The Beltline's still clear of issues, but the on-ramps to the Beltline at Stoughton Road and at Verona Road are starting to back up, so be careful trying to merge onto the Beltline in these areas. Downtown quiet except for East Wash and Blair, where traffic is slowing down. In fact, traffic is backed up from John Nolan through South Blair to East Wash. Drive times are still around normal for this part of the morning with clear roads on the Beltline, the highways, and the interstate. With First Alert Traffic, I'm Jason Ryan.
That's what we like to hear. Thank you, Jason.
Thank you.
And look what I found this morning. The polar bear already taking a dip. It's too hot for the polar bear today. Need to stay in the pool. It is definitely going to be a warm one. Temperatures are starting in the 60s this morning. We'll climb to highs in the upper 80s. Heat index values close to 90 degrees today.
Oof, you guys. Take Barrett's idea. Go find a pool if you can find one that's open. Try and stay cool. And watch out for those storms coming later tonight. Thanks for joining us. Have a great day.